We're live on the HockeyBuzzCast. Sorry we're a little delayed. Like I said, nothing is normal right now, including this really odd view of me. It's way too close to you.
That's better.
Yeah, I don't like being that close. I'm not. I look much better from afar.
Ruggedly handsome.
You have that. Well, you know, that's what I always say about Bryan Adams to my wife. Don't sit in the first couple rows. Sit in like the 7th row.
Yeah, he had a complexion that was conducive with somebody who'd been on heroin for about 20 years. He had like pock marks all over his face.
But I'm telling you, she sits in the 7th, 8th row. She's happy.
Speaking of music, it's like I always like to find out like the little backstory of like famous songs.
Oh yeah.
You hear this?
Yep.
The famous Carly Simon song "You're So Vain." For years they had speculated about who she was talking about in terms.
You probably thought that song was about you, Mike.
Yes, I'm so vain. But no, I mean everybody from Jack Nicholson to
Mick Jagger
to Paul Simon to Mick Jagger. Well, Carly Simon is coming out with her autobiography, I think next week, and she revealed in the lead up to the book that the person who was vain was Warren Beatty. And you know what? Knowing what I have heard about Warren Beatty over the years, that's not shocking at all. Because
a little anticlimactic though, like 30-something years, 40 years later. But here's the thing: if I'm Carly Simon's mom, I'm upset that you have to name like 8 or 9 guys before you can figure out who it is.
Well,
yeah, me too. I mean,
well, it doesn't mean she was.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
It was the 70s, right?
Yeah.
So not every podcast brings you an actual perfect
I'm Kermit the Frog.
Kermit the Frog.
Hey, Kermit the Frog here.
I know. I collect Muppets as well. Anyway,
it's not creepy.
I had some bacon today.
No, that's not creepy at all.
That's not crazy.
I had some bacon today, so we know where Miss Piggy is.
You know, it's the anatomy of a.
Or where it's going to be later. Never mind.
Hey, all right.
Come on, this podcast is going into a toilet.
Right. Dwindled into nonsense even quicker than I had planned, as they say. Come on, David Letterman. Awesome. All right, so I'm too close.
Let's just start.
All right, let's start. You know, my eye's getting better.
It is.
It is. Thanks.
Yeah, it's losing its appeal now.
You can hide that with some concealer.
Coolness. My eye is, yeah.
Yeah, you should have just kept drawing it back on.
Actually, Russ, was it you that posted that photo of Jakub Voracek in the post game yesterday with the blood dripping off of his mouth?
Yes. You know what's funny? People who took pictures right next to him, you almost couldn't see it. I just took a Hail Mary shot from above because he was surrounded, and it looked better from up there because you could actually see the enormity of the cut and the stitches.
It looked like Gene Simmons from like 1976.
It did. It was awesome.
So there's no truth to the rumor that we're going to be joined by Ilya Bryzgalov today. However, if you're interested in seeing Ilya Bryzgalov tonight, he'll be at the Puck Talk and Pitch Talk event, which is at in Philadelphia. Just look it up. It's
anybody else going to be there? We know.
Phil Meltzer's going to be there, and all the important hockey writers in the Philadelphia area, besides Russ and I.
Right. Well, you know.
We've only been doing it for longer, and have bigger followings. No, but that doesn't matter.
It's a grassroots effort.
We're not
rise above.
I was a little pathetic that I contacted Sarah Baker, and I'm like, come on, Sarah, what's the deal? And Sarah's like, oh, I don't control this. Dave Isaac does. I'm like, okay, so then I contacted Dave Isaac, still not afraid of my pride, and said, I'd love to be a part of this. It's Wednesday night. I could do it. No problem. It would be great. Dave Isaac's like, oh, that's awesome. I heard you mention it on the show today. That's really cool. I'll talk to the person right now. And then I see a big tweet saying, oh, we've added somebody exciting to the whole thing. And then, yes, Ilya Bryzgalov.
This is getting better. Who's going to be next? Like Keith Acton or somebody's going to get added.
Yeah, Keith Acton. Yeah, somebody like
Kenny Linsman.
Ron Flockhart has joined us with
Pavel Brendel.
Pavel Brendel. How about that?
Jack McElhargy.
I'll never forget the playoff series that Pavel Brendel played.
Jack is still out there scouting, so good for Jack. Jack's been out there a long time.
Oh yeah, Jack McElhargy. Yeah, he's right out of the scene. He's right out of the movie Slapshot, though. Come on,
absolutely.
He's directly right out of that. But remember on Pavel Brendel for the Flyers, he was part of the trade that sent Lindros to the Rangers.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. I've got a quick Brendel story. When he got traded, of course I knew about him being a high Ranger pick and all, and I was covering him when he got sent down to the Phantoms. And this is after, like, the Flyers did this video of him with the skating machine when it was brand new back then, and they're like, look, Pavel Brendel's working out hard. Meanwhile, we all knew that after the machine was turned off, he'd probably never use it again.
I don't know if that's ever been in a sentence together.
So in the Phantoms game, after the game, I sit down next to him on the bench in the locker room, and I'm like, so Pavel, this wasn't a great game for you. I saw you fade in and out. What's your thoughts? And he just looks at me and he goes, I'm gonna quit. and I was like, he did to me, and I was like,
quit.
And I said, okay, I guess the interview's over. Thanks.
Wow, that's a scoop, though, man.
Not much you can say after that. When the guy says he's quitting, it's like, I didn't want to pile on.
How does it feel to have quit?
It feels final.
Talk about quitting hockey in front of me right now. I mean, all the questions you could ask as a reporter, all this.
All that and more on Puck Talk Live.
Yeah.
Right, talk about her. Yes, you can see him. No, he's not on Puck Talk Live. No.
Oh, stop it.
It goes Scala, and then the cut happens, and then Pavel Brendel, and then Russ, and then me. I'm convinced of this. So
Brendel's playing overseas still.
He's playing?
Yes.
Holy cow. See, I never would have expected him to stay committed that long to hockey.
He just quit the NHL. It's the difference.
Yeah, well, there was a playoff series. Remember the Flyers? They never played him. They hated him. They never wanted to play him. And then suddenly he came up for a playoff series and was like on the first line and just I forget what playoff series that was. I want to say it was even against the Rangers. They had to play him. They needed him all of a sudden because they had no other talent at the time.
And they probably wanted to give it to Neil Smith a little bit if they could.
War is what they wanted to do. All right. So, Puck Talk tonight. Check it out. Russ and I, we don't leave the house for less than $1,000. So that's why we're not there.
Yeah.
Start the show.
All right, here we go. It is.
Please.
Hello, Hockey World. It's Wednesday, November 18th, 2015.
I'm Michael Lagello.
I'm Dan Petru.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Eklund, and you're watching the HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes to you every afternoon between 1 and somewhere in there to bring you all the up-to-date news and the latest goings-on in hockey and try to fill you in on what is happening. And first of all, we had to start off right off the top because yesterday two things happened that we talked about during the show. They both happened in the Flyers game.
It's crazy. It really is crazy if you think about it. One of them is.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, we talked about the kicking motion concept and
the backwards kick, especially.
Yeah, because Mike who was it? It was Ryan Miller said about a goal that the Maple Leafs scored on them over the weekend.
No, it was a goal that was waved off Jannik Hansen in the third period in the Canucks Leafs game on Saturday. He was going backwards. The puck went off his skate, and they called it no goal for a kicking motion, but he was going backwards. Because
kicking is forward, according to we learned this. This is like part of the NHL. They were saying kicking is forward. If someone is behind you and the ball is on the ground and they move it to you via their foot, they are not kicking it. They are moving it to you backwards via their foot. So, and then last night, when Braden Shen is literally underneath 4 or 5 players, I mean, this was pretty crazy. I mean, I'm not one to complain about goals, but I can't believe this was this loud, honestly. I still don't get it. But Braden Shen is kicking the puck, basically trying to stay on his feet with his skates going like this, trying to keep his feet. And then kicks the puck backwards into the goal. And Russ, no goal, right? You agree with the goal?
You know what the thought was, though, for me? Jonathan Quick was right there with his glove, and he literally kicked it away from Quick being able to make the glove save. I think that was why it was disallowed.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that, but...
If you watch the video again, you'll see Quick's glove was right there.
Maybe we'll bring that up. Yeah, maybe I should bring that up. It was very close. It was. I mean, and another thing we talked about yesterday, there was 3 things, actually, we talked about yesterday. Another thing was we talked about Braden Shen and how he had been scratched and then promoted to the first line in 24-hour period, which is typical. Usually that's what happens. You get scratched, you move to the first line. And then last night he fired, not including the kicking motion thing, which didn't even count as a shot, I guess. 7 shots on goal.
Which has got to be his high for the year.
Yeah. He's really, it's not Alexander Ovechkin 15 shots on goal, but it's still 7 shots on goal. And so that happens last night. He is a good thing. And then the other thing that we were talking about was Russ says to us, Gostabir, Flyers fans are going to freak out because Gostabir is going to come up and he's going to, even if he scores another goal, it's in another games, he's still not. You shouldn't. And you immediately, the first power play of the game, Gostabir scores a goal. And but Russ, you said you saw reasons for the Flyers fans not to be so happy. Explain.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's an exciting player. He's really good on the power play. He skates well. His defense is still average to below average, but the problem is that the coach, Dave Hackstall, kept him in for the entire 2 minutes of like the last 2 power plays, and towards the end of those power plays, he was making mistakes, almost really costly mistakes. One pass almost in the center ice that he's lucky didn't come back the other way. And towards the end of the game, he was making mistakes with like 3 to 4 minutes to go in the period. In the corners, he was losing battles because he was probably tired. He played over 19 minutes. A lot of it's power play time.
I'm going to argue. I mean, he's playing 2 minutes on the power play. Is he making mistakes at the end of the power play? Isn't that more on Hackstall?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is on Hackstall, but the idea is if he's out there, he can't do it, and if Hackstall's letting him do it, there's a dual problem there. But at the end of the third period, he was definitely making mistakes in the corners and losing battles, and the Kings were controlling the puck. I'm not saying it's a reason. Sorry, Mike. I'm not saying it's a reason to send him back or anything. But what I'm saying is, the coach shouldn't be playing him more than like 15 minutes a game. This is a kid with like 20-something pro games under his belt and only like 4 NHL games. Right. You got to pump the brakes a little, even when you see good things.
And to this point, Russ and I talked after the game because I watched the 3-on-3, the 5-minute overtime, which was probably one of the best I've seen all year. And he's got Gostisbehere out there, and Gostisbehere made a move at the point where he did a little stutter step and went around the guy, and there was nobody back. And if he gets caught there, that guy is gone on a breakaway. And I'm like, why do you have a kid in one of his first games out there on a 3-on-3 overtime in a tie game, which you blew in the last minute of regulation? I thought it was complete stupidity by Hackstall, but I guess they have a lot of confidence in him and they want to see what he can do. But I think it's a little unfair to the kid to put him out there in those situations.
Well, it's that or Gudis. I mean, and he
got caught.
You can't put Gudis on the ice for 3-on-3. There's no way you can do that.
No, they did.
I know. I'm not sure what's going on in that locker room. I'm not sure if Hackstall's approach is really working right now, or if the players are buying in. It's one thing to be hard on them. It's another thing to be hard on them and then it's not working. I feel like if you're super hard on your team, you better get some results and know when you should, pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah, Gudis had a giant ice pack on his left knee too, so he's going to be slowed down for sure next game.
Slower down.
You mean he can get slower?
Yeah, I know that's the thing. I mean, and this is not. I mean, that's not on him. He is what he is, right? And they brought him in.
Hard. I mean, he's actually played fairly well.
Yeah. And then basically, he's their Grossman replacement, and that's fine. And he even took the number,
And I like Gudis. I think he's a good
guy.
He's a good 5'6" guy. He's aggressive. Yep. He hits hard, but you expose him if you put him in situations that he's not meant to be in, or if you play him too many minutes. And if they're putting him in as a top 4, I didn't look at the minutes last night, so I don't know if he was a top 4 guy last night. But to put him out 3-on-3 is asking.
It is ridiculous.
Yes. Milan Lucic could skate right around him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Right. Exactly. And he's also wearing number 3, which is a really great history in Philadelphia for defensemen, as Russ knows. That is the boo number for defensemen in Philadelphia. It's been going back way back into history, from Tom Bladen on.
Wasn't Ben Wilson number 3?
What was that?
Wasn't Ben Wilson number 3?
Ben Wilson was number 3. He wasn't booed very often, but there have been.
Russ's dog also voted number 3.
You muted yourself.
You muted yourself. There we go.
I know. No, I know. This one. Right, I'm back. All right. Meanwhile, up the up the New York Thruway, across the river, and then
over the river and through the woods.
Through the New York Thruway through Syracuse and up to the 405, which is probably the worst way to go. We have the Maple Leafs going on and winning their fourth in a row.
Fourth out of the last 5.
Fourth out of the last 5.
Yeah.
Third in a row, right?
Right. It just shows how bad the Colorado Avalanche are right now because.
But Colorado's
been playing well though.
McKinnon's been tearing it up. They just beat.
They've won like 4 in a row.
Right. I mean, they've been playing very, very well. I mean, and Kadri again takes off. He had like 7 shots last night.
Yeah, and no goals.
And no goals. It was a -1. But still, the whole fact is, the Maple Leafs have now proven once for all that they're a playoff contender, and this is where
you're dreaming in Technicolor, Rack. Yeah, I'll tell you something right now. I mean, and I told this to Russ last night. Even horrible teams win 30 games, and that's what this. I mean, they're playing better. They're having a good. Stretch. In November, they've played a lot better than they did in October. But the thing is, they played well in October and lost. They lost a lot of games. They lost a lot of close games. And right now, the difference has been they've actually been getting a little special teams performance out of guys like Komarov, and P.A. Parento scored a couple power play goals last night. And Reimer is playing better. But
there it is, right there.
As we've seen out of James Reimer over the balance of his career, they go in stretches. He will have 10 games where he looks like a world beater and everybody thinks he's a number 1, and then he becomes James Reimer. Then he becomes the guy who lets in shots from center ice, just as bad as Bernier in terms of giving up emotion-crushing goals. I'm not saying, there is progress being made with the Leafs here, and I'm writing about this today. The thing is, then this is the encouraging thing for the rebuild and for Toronto fans, is that the players that they brought in over the summer, the part of the plan was bring in a bunch of short-term veterans on 1 or 2 year deals and economical deals, guys who will be hole pluggers, and players who are rentals at the end of the year who, if they have decent seasons, teams who are contending, looking for depth guys, will be willing to trade. Right. Parento got a couple goals. Sean Mathias is playing better. Brad Boyes is contributing. All these guys, and I'm not saying they're going to get tons for these guys. They could get 3rd, 4th round picks, but they're going to trade them. James Reimer is improving his trade value by this winning streak. He is not going to be the number 1 goaltender. There's already been stuff talked about in Toronto about them looking for young goaltending and going out, like scouring, possibly Matt Murray from Pittsburgh or Malcolm Subban, or Russ and I talked about like an Eric Comrie or a Connor Hellebuyck. There are lots of teams out there that have goaltenders in the AHL that are blocked by NHL goaltenders with long-term contracts. That is the way. They wouldn't be doing that if they thought James Reimer was the answer, which tells me that James Reimer is going to be traded before February 29th. So
I'll tell you what this win did do, though.
Yeah.
It pushed the panic button for the Avalanche and Avalanche management, because they have now sort of been exposed. Their penalty kill is really taking a beating today.
Yes,
It's one thing that the Leafs got 4 power play goals, and you could say that's an aberration and everything else. And I didn't see the game, but the remarks that I'm hearing was they look like an AHL team, they look like a junior team on the penalty kill, and that is going to be a big problem for the Avalanche going forward, and that's why we might see someone like Duchesne get traded for multiple players, because they probably need multiple players.
Russ, they got beat on the same play, the same set play twice. And that was essentially the guy down low in front of the net doing a spinorama pass to the guy on the side of the net. Parento scored 1 goal, Bozak scored another on the same play. Now, the 1-3-1 power play is not exactly something that nobody has seen before. A lot of teams have seen it.
Oh yeah.
Colorado, their penalty killers were out to lunch. I mean, when Toronto scores 5 goals, 1 goal shorthanded, and 4 goals are power play, special teams is a little bit of a problem. And Rado Barrow was very human last night. I mean, I'm not to say that he's supposed to stand on his head and win a game every game.
We cursed him yesterday. I mean, that you'd expect that. I mean,
right.
2 or 3 of those goals he had 0 chance on, though.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing too. We talked about it when the signing happened. Francois Beauchemin is slowed down to the point where he is not an every minute defenseman anymore. He's really just a guy to plug in, I think.
Their defense is horrid. It's
the same thing they needed going into Seth Jones' draft year is the same thing they still need. And I love McKinnon, but to this day, I first guessed it, and I will guess it for the rest of their careers. Seth Jones should have been in Denver.
Their defense is horrid, and what they haven't done is address their crying need. Not only the decision to go to McKinnon instead of Jones. I mean, you can forgive that because McKinnon looks like a franchise player that you can build that team around for the next decade. But their decisions in free agency and trades, going out and signing Brad Stewart, going out and signing Francois Beauchemin. I mean, they had a chance, according to one report I read yesterday, from Elliot Friedman's 30 Thoughts. Apparently, they were talking with the Maple Leafs about a Jake Gardiner deal for Ryan O'Reilly. Instead, they chose Grigorenko, Zadorov, and a package from the Sabres. Grigorenko has been a third or fourth liner for most of the season. Zadorov was sent to the AHL team. That turned out to be a disaster of a deal. I mean, if you can get
Zadorov could still come back, though. We won't throw it on him yet.
Sure,
I'm not ready to write him off yet.
In the here and the now, it's not a good deal because he's a 20-year-old kid, and Grigorenko hasn't really proved anything at the NHL level. Whereas you would have gotten a defenseman who a lot of people seem to think still has redeeming qualities in Gardner with an economical contract. I mean, they have to go out, and if they are entertaining offers for Duchesne, they have to go out and make a 2 or 3-for-1 deal and get themselves a top-end defenseman because other than Barry and Eric Johnson, the rest of that defensive core is horrid.
Oh yeah, there's no question. That's I agree. I think we really need to get onto something though, because, and I'm sorry, I'm just being distracted because I'm learning because I've been racing around and learning now the All-Star Game changes that we should discuss here.
Yeah.
By Bob McKenzie. Not by Bob McKenzie. Bob McKenzie wrote the article revealing what looks like the NHL All-Star changes. And as I'm hearing it, as I'm getting it now, from what I was reading at least.
Yeah,
I know a little better. Mike, why don't you describe it?
I saw the report last night, and actually, you as one who is a self-described hater of the All-Star Game and everything All-Star except for the pre-All-Star festivities with the media. This concept sounds interesting enough that I would actually watch a little bit of it. It's basically they're going to have 4 teams: Atlantic, Metropolitan, Central, and Pacific.
Right.
They will have the 2 Western Conference teams, the 2 Eastern Conference teams face off in a 3-on-3 for 20 minutes. The winners of the 3-on-3 will play each other in the third period to determine a victor. And from what I just read a few minutes ago, a $1 million prize is going to go to the winner. And knowing hockey players, they will sell out for that.
Yeah,
they'll play for that. Yeah, absolutely.
$1 million per player?
No. $1 million total. But
how many players for each team?
9.
9. Okay. So that gives you basically 36 All-Stars?
10 with a goalie, is that what it is? I'm not sure.
Yeah, he doesn't get paid. He doesn't deserve to get paid. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, in a 3-on-3?
A little goalie bash there.
He deserves to be sainted for playing that game.
You probably take 2 goalies, right? You probably would take 2 goalies.
Well, maybe not. Maybe you just take 1 goalie from each. I like it. I think it's awesome. I'm completely on board. I think it's
like a round-robin tournament. It's great.
Yeah, it's like 3-on-3, like like a 3-on-3 soccer.
Plus, I'm sure that $1 million will get donated to charities too. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean that's like I've been to 3-on-3 soccer tournaments, and they're a lot of fun. These
are. I've played them. They're fun.
Yeah, the players love to play in them.
I mean, if it's charity, it's one thing. If it's for I know these guys are all rich players, but players who make millions of dollars, the way that their competitive nature.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You're right.
Yeah, if they have a chance to win $30,000 each or something like that, whatever it is, they're not gonna kill each other, but they're gonna sell out. They're gonna perform at a high level. And honestly, that's the thing that's been missing from this game is it's passionless, it's entertainmentless. It used to be something better when we were kids. It's not that anymore. So I think this is like the last best chance for this game to be actually something.
This could be freaking awesome. I do agree. I really could see it. I mean, going to the All-Star game. I'm really glad about that. I really could see this being amazing. I mean, it makes so much sense. I want to know who came up with this. It's really good. It's one of the better ideas I've heard in a long time.
I'll tell you this. Last night I interviewed Dustin Brown about that crazy 3-on-3 with the Flyers and the Kings.
Yeah.
He was really honest, really forthcoming. The whole interview's on my SoundCloud. But to basically sum it up, he was like, yeah, we practiced this in preseason, but it's nothing like it's going now because now teams have a strategy. They know who to put out there. And it's, and he basically was saying it was crazy. Like he just used the word crazy because he knows, like, this is a guy that could talk to us, but he had to have his energy drink right after the game because he was that drained. Like he was like, but he was being completely honest about it. And so we're going to see that kind of effort in the All-Star game. That's the great part of it.
Could you imagine?
The question is, the All-Stars are still going to be selected based on their season performance, but what's interesting about this is 3-on-3. There are definitely players that are better 3-on-3 players. So this is really not about 3-on-3, especially goalies. I mean, especially if you're looking at goalies, there's definite goalies that are better at 3-on-3.
Yeah, they're better with breakaways or 2-on-1s. Yeah.
Handling the puck.
I'm just thinking. Could you imagine Seguin, Tarasenko, and Klingberg?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, and I do think there is pride between divisions. I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I do think the Atlantic wants to beat the the Northeast Division. I do think the Central Division and Pacific Division have a pride thing going on there. Especially.
I picked the Central. Kane, Taves, Keith, Tarasenko. I mean that division. I think that division will kill. And Rene is your goaltender.
Look, I tell you, if you've got Lundqvist on one side and Quick on the other, neither guy wants to give up goals in any kind of game, any kind of practice, any kind of situation.
Right. Yeah, this is Quick's not Quick. This is not really Quick's strength though. 3-on-3.
I don't know. If you watched it last night, I think
last night he was amazing. But I'm saying he doesn't handle the puck well in terms of that part of it.
Tavares, Ovechkin, and Carlson.
Yeah.
That'd be okay.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
No, I know. I mean, look at the. I mean, gosh, the Metro Division. With you get Crosby, Giroux, Zuccarello. Got all these. I mean, it's going to be really fun. I mean,
Zajac, Henrique, and.
Right. Yeah, no, I think this is.
This will make the practice fun to watch again because these guys are going to have to practice with each other in tandem to sort of get used to the game. And normally we sort of go to those practices and it's like, hey, you talk to your buddies, you're watching the guys, you're shooting some pictures, you do a few interviews after. Now you're really going to have to watch to see how these guys are clicking.
But what you're gonna have also is I think it's an advantage. I mean, especially like what I was saying with Kane and Taves. You're gonna have an advantage for teams inside their own division to have tandems working together that have worked together all season. So
you could do Backstrom, Ovechkin, and Carlson together.
Right, exactly. You throw out that.
How are they going to play this? I mean, because is it going to be like one team plays the first period, essentially 20 minutes, and that's one.
It'll be Atlantic versus Metro in the first one. Central versus Pacific in the second one. The winners of the two.
Advantage to being in the third, but to being in the second one because there's a long break there. I mean, these are exhausting. I mean, these are really exhausting. Like, to me,
you never know. I mean, they could. I mean, I don't know what.
They might have a 5-minute break too. We don't know.
I heard somebody texting me 10-minute halves, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but this reminds me. This sort of brings me back to basketball camp when I used to be in tournaments like this. And when you win the one tournament and you're waiting for that other game in the middle to end, you are super pumped.
Oh yeah, you're fired up.
And I'm telling you, we're going to see a level of fired upness, for lack of a better term, than we've seen in years.
I always like to keep playing though. Like when I used to play in these golf tournaments, sometimes you would play and then you'd have to wait like an hour and a half and go play again. But then sometimes you would play and then you go right back out there. And if I was rolling, I just wanted to keep playing.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me just be the skunk at the garden party here.
That's what you do really well.
Thank you. If this doesn't work, if this is a flop, and I'm willing to give it a shot because it sounds like an interesting concept. But if it doesn't, kill the All-Star game.
They're never going to do that. It makes too much. It makes money. It's an exhibition game. Just treat it like an exhibition game. It's not the end of the world.
Do the fastest skater.
I'll play with you, Mike, for a second. This does have a jumping the shark aspect to it, but
it does. This is going to work though.
But it's going to work. It feels like it's going to work. I mean, I think they need to do what I would do is the Western Conference plays the first 10 minutes, the Eastern plays the second, Western plays, and I would split it up into that because that would be way better than having these teams go 20 straight minutes at 3-on-3. 20 straight minutes at 3-on-3, even with a break, is not a great idea.
This is the main night game, Mike. The first night with all the skills and stuff, that's probably going to stay the same. Because they have to have 2 nights. That's the way they do it. So I don't think you're going to see a change in that.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying is if this doesn't work in terms of entertainment value or whatever, if this is an experiment, it's a worthy experiment. Let's try it. Let's see if the All-Star Weekend and this helps it being more exciting and more challenging. But if it doesn't work, then I think the All-Star Weekend should be the fastest skater, the hardest shooter, and all the other things, and that's it. Because the game is worthless.
You can't.
It's not worthless to the city who has the game.
Right. It's not worthless to the city who has the game. And honestly, this is the thing, and I know we've talked about this before many times. The All-Star Game is about kids. Kids love it. I mean,
Mike hates kids.
I've been to a lot of them. And,
Mike doesn't answer his door on Halloween. I know.
Yeah. He gives out canned goods.
No. I dress as Baymax.
I remember this, Dan.
But the whole thing is, I've been to these games, and they are really about the kids. There are sons of kids. And when you remember, as a kid, the cool thing, All-Star games were way cooler when you were a kid. You're like, oh,
of course. Man. I remember when it was in Hartford. I was 8 years old.
Yeah. I went to Philly in 85, I guess it was.
86, 85, something like that.
I go back to the Minnesota one. Like I said, I saw Messier on the same line as Jágr. That was fun, right? We never saw that again. We were never going to see that again. What if this is Jágr's last All-Star game? It will give some kids the ability to see them that don't generally get to see that much of them.
And it's a destination type thing. It's like when you go, there are people. There are people who travel to every All-Star game. There's a group of NHL, and I've met these fans before because one of my things to do at the NHL All-Star weekends is find. Usually there's a mall or somewhere where people are walking around, and I try to take pictures of every NHL jersey. So I'll go up to somebody if they're wearing a jersey, and I'll take a picture of everyone. And knowing this, I've run into the same people multiple times. I said, okay, oh man, these people, they just go to every All-Star game. It's a thing that they do.
Yeah.
It's got its own thing. It's not real hockey. But here's if someone wants to, piss on this parade, I will for a second and say this much, okay? Here's the thing. Is this just showing us that 3-on-3 is the way hockey should always be? If people tune in to watch the All-Star game and they're like, that is cooler, way cooler than this sport is normally.
Well,
I don't think anybody's going to say that.
I mean, I'm just saying that for non-hockey fans who watch this, they're going to be like, wow, hockey's 3-on-3 now. That's very cool. Why don't they?
Well, I mean, I've heard somebody say that, with the excitement that has been brought about by 3-on-3 has made the movement of going to 4-on-4 for regular hockey, something that might bring more excitement to the game. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't care. I know it's never going to happen. The PA will never allow it, and it's.
Why don't you just make regulation wins 3 points?
Yeah, well,
they'll never do that.
Go back to that, and we all would agree on that. But
that would give you more incentive to win in regulation.
Right.
I think we're getting closer to that too. I talked to somebody the other day.
It can be done. It's done in other sports. It's not that confusing.
Yeah, we'll talk about that another
time. Back to this, I don't think there's any confusing, hey, this should be in the NHL all the time, because I think they realize, hey, this is this is a thing that we're trying, and if we like it, it'll be part of the All-Star game, but our game is our game, and I don't think they're going to change that because, again, there's not going to be a lot of hitting in this. There's not going to be some of the other aspects that people really like about hockey, too, in this.
But the product, I mean, like last night during the 3-on-3 overtime with the Flyers for Kings, which I tweeted out, and I do agree was the best 3-on-3 of the year, at least that I've seen.
Yep, same here.
Yeah, it was the best one since the Flyers were. I thought the Flyers Lightning, which I think was the first one, was great too.
Yeah,
but they can also be duds. I mean, I think it wasn't the Flyers in Carolina last weekend, or whenever they played Carolina, that was the most uneventful 3-on-3 that I had seen. So it sort of hit or miss. But honestly, the thing that's the good thing about it is that most of them have been exciting, and most.
Well, everyone texts me. That's the crazy thing about it. Everyone texts me and says, "Okay, we love this. This is great." It's not the fringe hockey people. Like friends of mine that are fringe hockey people. They see this and they're like, "Oh, that's something I like," and they go to it right away. It definitely has a mass appeal to it, which is but to us it's gimmicky, but it's fun. And I mean, the real treat to this whole thing is these players are so skilled, and you don't get to see that most of the time.
Right.
Because of the amount of space they have, which is so limited. So this is the chance you get to see that. I think it's great. That I love the way it is. But there's some things that I'm always afraid of. I'm always afraid the NHL will do something like go to this full time, or that they'll go to this for overtime in the playoffs, right? I mean,
I've spoken to people very high up. They will never mess with the postseason, never.
Because there's nothing wrong with the postseason. The postseason's darn near perfect.
Yeah.
Besides not calling penalties.
I don't agree more that it's perfect. I love it. I would maybe give up Hockey Buzz if they did it because I would hate it so much. But I can tell you that the more national TV plays into this, the more pressure there is to do something like this for the playoffs.
Well, the owners would never go for it. Trust me.
I mean, honestly, the amount of 5-hour games because of triple overtime. I mean, there are not many of them. I mean, what was the one year you had a lengthy overtime the day of the Kentucky Derby. Other than that, there really hasn't been any major conflicts with scheduling for national networks. I don't think that
because they want to put some of the games don't get on because of this. I'm telling you already that this is true. Like the Kentucky Derby thing, there was talk that they shouldn't have a game on at all that day, and then
that's true.
Happened.
That's true. Or they should have it after, or because
after it's a 3-minute race.
They've added the Thanksgiving game as an example. That's been a very effective game the last, 3 years now? This would be like the third year for it? Fourth year?
I agree. I like that too. I think that's awesome. I'm just saying that there are certain things, and we are, it's not worth it really mentioning, but I do think that there's something to this and I do worry about overtime in the playoffs.
I'm pretty sure there was a Rangers overtime game on the day of the Kentucky Derby last year, and they moved it to NBCSN.
They did.
Yeah, so I mean, that can happen
in this day and age, of course.
That's not the end of the world like it used to be either.
Right. It's not.
That used to be a big deal. Now moving networks, it happens all the time. Games overlap. Yeah. And the stations are very accessible now. No. 10 years ago, that was a big deal because Versus was only in 40, 50 million homes. But NBCSN is in 100, 150 million homes. It's really not a big deal.
I will say this, though. TBS has a little bit to learn on how to do it the right way. They didn't do it the right way for the Major League Baseball.
It's not easy to do, by the way.
No, I'm sure.
As someone who has done it, has to do it and may help make those decisions and also do it cleanly. There's a lot of moving parts.
TBS, how about referencing the Heidi game? That will tell you something. Now, Russ brings up something in the chat that we should talk about, because we were talking about the Penguins yesterday and Malkin and the discontent in Pittsburgh, and their main area of concern has been their blue line, and Olli Mata again gets injured yesterday.
Yeah, this one's not his fault though.
No, this time
it's a massive hit too.
And they made a point this morning to say that the injuries that he has are not connected to anything that he's been injured with in the past, but it was a pretty bad hit. And from Niederreiter, who is a guy who plays on the edge, Dan, as you know. And the thing is, that defense, Pittsburgh's defense, without, I mean, we've talked about them overplaying Letang too much. Now the second best defenseman is Mata. Without him, if he's out for a long time, that defense is a liability.
He's in the hospital, and there's no suspension. Niederreiter literally watched him get rid of the puck, and 2 seconds later, shoved him into the boards.
You don't even see the puck in the play. That's how far gone it is.
I know. It's
I'm going to show you guys. I have it right here.
And they're blaming it on the swinging door. Really? Can we stop that, please?
It was unnecessary, and it was not a hockey play.
No.
Right. I got it coming up here. Here we go.
Okay. Is he going to have a meeting or anything?
No, nothing.
Talk so the camera goes to you.
Yes, I will talk to you.
There you go.
It's scot-free.
I actually control that, so you guys don't have to worry about that. I can make.
Oh, okay, cool.
Here we go. So here we go. So here's the play. Here, I know it's kind of small, but I'll show another angle.
Oh,
it's awful.
How is that not supplement? How is that not even a fine?
Yeah, I don't get it. They're going to show the highlight of it now better.
Yeah. Did anybody in the Penguins go after him?
No.
There's another problem. There's another problem in your locker room.
Yesterday with the Penguins, yeah.
Players need to police that.
We did. We talked about this yesterday with the Penguins that they're.
But you've eliminated that role in this game because you need a fourth line that can skate as fast as the first line. So
you don't need. But no, you don't need someone to. You don't need a thug.
I'm not saying a thug.
But you need someone who doesn't even have to win the fight. You need someone that will say, this is not going to happen, I am dropping my gloves, and you're going to pay for that hit.
Rob Scuderi, get out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to see if they're going to show a highlight here. I'm guessing.
I'm not saying they should call Paul Baxter out of retirement. I'm just saying, they should have somebody who, like you just said, who's willing. But I don't think anybody. I mean, there are teams out there where 20 games into the regular season who have not had one fight all year. The Toronto Maple Leafs have not fought.
Crosby or Malkin could have dropped the gloves, and and it could have been a galvanizing moment for this team moving forward.
It could have been.
Yeah, I'm trying to see it. I don't see it. They're not showing
I'll
it.
never forget a couple of years ago when the Islanders were playing the Penguins, and they got embarrassed. The Islanders got embarrassed in Game 1 in the playoffs. They were down 2-0 in Game 2, and there was a marginal hit, and Oposo took on Matt Niskanen, and he stood up for his teammate, and he galvanized that team, and they came back and won that game and made a series out of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get this not being there being no discipline on this at all.
Yeah, it's strange.
Look, it's a horrible job to have to try and make these decisions, but it just seems like it's so subjective.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, the Penguins. The Penguins played a strong game last night. I mean, for all things considered, they played a better game against a tough team. We talked about the Penguins last night, and this seemed like a game the Penguins were going to have trouble with because Minnesota is definitely a tough team.
And Malkin had 4 points.
And Malkin, of course, following the Hockey Buzz, line of thinking, would get 4 points after we talked about shit. Is the time to trade him? He goes in and gets 4 points. Crosby though doesn't score again, and Crosby hasn't scored in 13 of 18 games.
Well, a lot of times, just to get back to this hit real quick, a lot of times the legal say, well, the player wasn't injured, so there's no supplementary discipline. Well, okay, now this player's in the hospital, so I'm sorry, I just don't understand. And I stopped trying to understand this, I really have.
And it's not like this is a star player. This is not like Alex Ovechkin hit him, because that would be the convenient out for the league, because they never penalize guys who are stars. I mean, Nino Niederreiter is an effective player, but he's not a superstar, and he's a tough player. I don't know about his suspension history, but this is just, this was a bad hit, and I'm surprised it's not even getting reviewed. It's not even, not even a phone hearing. You're talking about nothing happening, zero.
I don't get it yet. I'm trying to see if I can find a better view of it. That is just, we really have. I don't know. This is where the NHL kills themselves all the time.
Yeah, it's just a consistency. That's all fans are looking for is consistency, and that's what drives fans nuts. When one play is a 3-game suspension and one play gets you not even a penalty.
There were a couple. I mean, I know we're gonna go to rumors.
They're still talking about this being the door. He was cleared. Apparently, he did not sustain any internal injuries as was first feared. But it's didn't I don't know. There's no.
It's a bad owie. It's going to affect his play for a little while.
Yeah, and it's obviously a huge thing for the Penguins, right? Because they've been a problem with them.
He might play, but he's not going to be as effective.
Right. No, agreed. Let's get into some rumors here. So the main name that's been coming up in not just my website today, but a bunch of places has been Trevor Daley, and Trevor Daley is an interesting case because in Chicago he's not looked very good at all. He hasn't watched him play, and and I've talked to people who, I've talked to Bill Melcher, covers Dallas a lot for us, and Trevor Daley was a better player in Dallas. I mean, it's not that he was ever great defensively. He's more of an offensive player, but he at times has really just for Chicago, you just see the drop off. I think.
Well,
go
ahead, Russ.
I was going to say, not a drop off. Go ahead, Dan. You go.
I was just going to say, could it be the system where he was maybe had a little more free range in Dallas and was used in a more offensive role? If you're expecting him to be a shutdown defenseman, you acquired the wrong player.
Right.
I mean, maybe the role he has now, it doesn't suit him well.
I think that's
not a big-time point guy, no matter what. He may have had 16 points, but here's the thing. A lot of guys in the NHL, given the opportunity, could get a lot more points with a lot less responsibility. But a team like Chicago doesn't allow that, and most teams don't allow that. Dallas happens to allow that. Ottawa's not going to allow it to the point where Daley's going to be back up to 16 goals, I can tell you that.
Well, from what I understand, I remember hearing an interview where they said that Daly, because Daly was pretty responsible two-way guy a few years ago, and that the Stars and Lindy Ruff went to him and said, we need you to step it up more offensively, to get into the offensive rush, to do things, because and he had his best offensive year last year, but he also had his worst defensive year. So there are some players who have that sixth sense that know when to get into an offensive rush and when not to expose themselves. And maybe he just doesn't have that sixth sense because he had arguably his worst defensive year when he had his best offensive year. Now, he was part of the Oduya deal, and or part of the Patrick Sharp deal, excuse me. They
basically got him to replace Oduya. I mean, that's what they did.
Right, exactly. But the thing is, his cap hit is a little over $3 million. He's got another year left in this deal, and with the Hawks, they seem to have a lot more confidence in Trevor Van Riemsdyk after a very short time than they do in a veteran like Daly who's been around for so long.
I think the Van Riemsdyk thing has to do with the skating. He's a little better skater now than Daly is, and I think that's all they care about because he's not making mistakes. Look, Daly's a 25-point guy every year of his career except for last year was the one aberration.
Right.
Whoever's getting him is getting a 25-point guy who used to play decent defense and probably can again. But I wouldn't go crazy if I were Ottawa. I mean, they seem to be desperate.
I know Ottawa's been put out there, but I checked into that, Russ, and there was nothing to Ottawa.
Okay.
But that name that's definitely been put out there. The names that I've heard, were Boston and Montreal, and mainly Boston. Although the Montreal source that I got it from is a really good source. He rarely ever tells me anything, and all the stuff he tells me about Montreal tends to be very, very on.
I wouldn't be.
Boston makes sense. They've been looking for a defender all year.
They're short of defensemen. They're getting Seidenberg back, but they're playing a lot of younger guys that I don't think they particularly want to play.
And didn't Miller get hurt?
Yeah,
I didn't hear, but if that's the case, then that advances the ball even further. But Montreal,
he's a Bruin type player too. I mean, he really is. He's I think he fits really well there. Now, Montreal is fascinating because Montreal has really been struggling. They really have. I mean, I know it's not. People are freaking out when I say Montreal's struggling because they're still at such a great start, but they haven't been playing well. They have been losing games.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you have Mike Condon in goal instead of Carey Price. I mean,
and look, no slight to Princeton's Mike Condon, who I liked back in the day and watched him, and Dan liked him, but he's no Carey Price.
No, but he's a nice young goalie. But he's not Carey Price. He cannot win games when you have an off night.
Montreal is a borderline playoff team without Carey Price. With Carey Price, they're a contender for the Stanley Cup. Right. I mean, he is the MVP, possibly the best player in this league. So
I don't think. Yeah, I think I don't know. We have so many Montreal fans who email, so don't email again. But just that are really upset whenever you go off on Mike and say that they're not a borderline playoff team. I don't think they're a borderline playoff team in the East. I think Montreal is a playoff team.
I do too. I love the city of Montreal. The people are nothing but nice to me there, and it's a great city.
Yeah,
I'll go farther with New York plates.
I've never been there, but I'm looking forward to a smoked meat sandwich when I go there. But
they're not. They are a playoff team. I mean, they're not.
Absolutely, they are a playoff team. But they're a playoff team. I'm just
saying, without Carey Price, they're in that 6 to 12 mix.
But they are scoring more goals than last year. We have to give them credit for that.
They are. They're scoring a lot more goals than last year.
Dale Weiss is playing like
whatever. Who cares where they're
going? It doesn't matter. Yeah, the goals are coming. You asked for more scoring, and you're getting it now. Come on.
I don't want Michel Therrien to succeed, but he is succeeding. So I'm saying this now, flat out.
I'm just saying, do I trust the fact that Dale Weiss is all of a sudden a sniper? No, because there's been no proof of that previously in his career. Is he a good workmanlike player? Yes. Does he provide energy? Yes. I mean, I'm not saying that they're a bad team.
Fans want me to hit the mute button now. I'm like, they do.
But couple other things I just saw coming over the wire. Carolina has invited Tim Gleason on a PTO. The New Jersey Devils have invited Tyler Kennedy on a PTO. So, yeah, I know. It's sort of.
What's that Counting Crow song? Hanging Around.
Well, Russ, what I gather from this is that some of these teams are looking for bargains before they have to go out and make trades. Let's give Tyler Kennedy a look-see so we can see if we can add him and he helps before we go out and trade a draft pick for a guy.
Russ, I have a question for you.
That's Ray Shero being nice to one of his former players. That's what it is.
But Russ, here's a question. There's no one in the New Jersey minor league team that could fill in and do a better job than Tyler Kennedy. Maybe someone you want to give a shot to.
There's not a lot there.
I mean, how's Reed Boucher been playing?
Reed Boucher is not great.
Yeah, okay.
He was a product of juniors,
Mike Sislo. I mean, it's like
there's not a lot there, Dan.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Just wondering.
So I've been getting a lot of complaints, so I brought it back today. The box.
Yes.
Woo!
All right.
All right. So before I do the box, though, one thing. Over/under on when Anaheim's in first place again, because they are a really good team and they're looking really good.
By Christmas.
I think that's possible. They're not. I watched them last night. They dominated the Predators. Not many teams. I watch the Predators all the time. Not many teams dominate the Predators.
They were helped by the fact that the teams above them in the Pacific really didn't go so far out that none of them were catchable. So I think Christmas is a good area where they will get back into first place.
The Kings are very good though. It's the Kings and Ducks.
But the Kings didn't go like way out. They didn't go like.
They didn't, but they're still off to a very good start.
Right. They'll be a playoff team.
Perry and Getzlaf are starting to play like Perry and Getzlaf, though. If you watch that game last night, I mean, I've seen the Predators. I watch every game of theirs, and they don't get beaten.
The Ducks still need more from their supporting cast, though.
They do. They need a lot more.
They're very expensive supporting cast.
Yes.
That's for sure.
So Christmas, yes, I agree.
I'll agree with that. All right, here we go. A Ranger. Ranger. He was the captain of the Rangers at one point.
Kelly Kissio.
Very nice. Very good.
We already had a Kelly Kissio before.
We already have a Kelly Kissio?
Not as a Ranger, though. We had him for another team.
Yeah, we had him as a Shark. That's right. Okay.
Oh, a great one.
Uh-oh.
Oh, this is awesome. All right, I want to somehow...
Give us a hint before you show the card.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was a right wing for the New York Islanders.
Mike Bossy.
Derek King.
This guy has had the craziest ever story when he retired that I've ever heard.
Miko Makala.
Nope.
Bob Bourne.
Pilon.
Nope.
No. Benoit Hogue.
No. He
Ziggy Palffy.
There you go.
Oh,
Wow.
the Polish rifle.
Ziggy Palffy. Here it is.
Oh, that was Tchaikovsky. Tchaikovsky was the Polish
that's right.
rifle.
That's Tchaikovsky. You're right.
Palffy was Slovakian.
That's
Yeah.
Ron Jaworski. He's from
Look at that
Lackawanna.
Look at that picture. How about that?
That's
There
a
you go.
quality. He was a really good hockey
He
player.
was an incredible hockey player, but that's a deer in headlights shot there.
No.
He had
Look
great
at
skill.
the
He really
hair.
did have a great shot, too.
It's unfortunate his injuries really.
Look at that. Look at that major league mullet that he has.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know.
that was
This is
awesome.
serious. I mean, this is like, that's
That is
a
such a big mullet.
he was,
That's a Yarmer Yager wannabe mullet.
but
He
he,
hang
when
down
he,
in barber shops in Moose Jaw.
do you remember the behind-the-scenes story of him leaving to go back to Russia?
No.
Or Czechoslovakia, wherever he came from? Russia, right? Russia.
Slovakia. He's Slovakian.
Right.
Yeah, it was insane. It was like I don't even know if I should say it, because I won't. But it was crazy. Like, you literally...
What are you afraid of?
In the middle of the night.
Like Russian agents?
Oh, yeah, there was a whole bunch of stuff. It had to
No,
do
you
with...
seem afraid of them.
Right. I'm afraid of Russia.
All of a sudden, Spetsnaz commandos are going to be dropping in suburban Philadelphia.
The minute he mentions them, guys are going to come crashing through the roof
Story.
on ropes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, look
It's
out.
Red Dawn, Russ.
I know.
I know. I'm gonna go.
Wolverines.
Oh, I love this one too. Okay, this is another. The same era. This guy has great hair. All right, I'm gonna show you this picture. So just like
Ron Duguay.
no. He was a blue when this picture was taken. So let me see if I can get. There he is.
Brett Hull.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not Brett Hall.
No.
No!
Nope.
Bernie Nichols.
Nope.
It's definitely not Craig Janney.
Nichols never had
He went to North Dakota. He was acquired as a second-round draft pick in the 1984 draft. A Thunder Bay, Ontario kid.
Mm-hmm.
Set a club record with 4 goals in the 1988 playoffs versus Chicago on April 10th, 1988.
I should know this.
4 goals.
Go ahead. Who is it?
Mark Hunter.
Tony Herkus. Come on now.
The
Oh.
Herkus Circus.
The Hercus Circus, yes.
Oh man.
I never knew how to pronounce that guy's name.
Yeah. It's just.
Yeah.
It's like Stan.
Buy a vowel. Come on.
You say my card on time, but I got a Mario Lemieux card in here.
Nice.
Oh, boy. That's worth about 5 cents.
Yeah. That's worth a solid 90 cents.
Remember Stan Nestcash? How his name was spelled?
Oh, Netscash. Yeah, that was
It was spelled Netcar, which I thought he was a NASCAR fan.
All right, let's go one more here.
not to be confused with Necco the candy, which I used to like.
Yeah, it's Necco. I remember Necco.
The wafer.
Right,
Those wafers, yeah.
This player, as a card I have, is a defenseman. Okay.
It reminded me of Communion.
He's a Red Wing in this card, but he was not known as a Red Wing at all.
Okay.
This is probably the oldest player that I have a card of in here.
Position? Can you give us a position?
Defenseman.
Very end of his career here.
Terry Salchuk.
Defenseman.
I know.
90, I want to say. The defenseman. That's Salchuk. Defenseman from Sweden. From a town that they moved recently. The entire town moved.
Borja Salming.
Borja Salming, yep.
Wow.
Good one.
Karuna, Sweden.
Borja Salming as a Red Wing.
Wow.
Scarface. Look at the Scarface there.
I didn't even know he played for the Red Wings.
I didn't even think Red Wings
I don't
either.
remember him as a Red Wing. I only remember him as a Leaf. That's
Me
weird.
too.
It was his last year, and the funny thing was the scar that he has on his face there. He got with the Leafs playing the Red Wings,
Wow.
and a Red Wing player stepped on his face with his skate.
Oh,
Really? Wow, that doesn't feel good. Let's
He
see
was,
here.
I think he was the first Swede that I ever saw play a hockey game.
What I will always remember about Borja Salming was Gene Hart. As a kid, whenever anybody would lift the puck out of the zone high in the air, he would be like, the Flyers clear it high in the air, a la Borja Salming.
What I always remember about Borja Salming early in his career is that the Philadelphia Flyers made a practice out of beating the crap out of him. Oris Kinderchuk, Mel Bridgman,
But
Paul
they could catch
Holmgren.
him. He was a heck of a skater.
Right, but they beat on him until basically he became a surgeon with his stick. He became the most vile guy with his stick in the league, and he had to out of self-preservation.
Well, Tomas Sandstrom probably still holds that title.
Well, I mean that was the 80s, and
I know.
all it was the
All
same.
right.
He was like that.
I am going to we're going to do this slowly down. I'm going to slowly show you pictures of this guy here. So see what you can dig here. I'm going to go
Dave
to
Tippett.
Very good.
Wow.
Dave
It's that-
Tippett.
It's that porn stash.
Yeah, that was in my wheelhouse. I think no. Did I have a Dave Tippett? I might have had. No, I didn't have a Dave Tippett jersey.
Right
I had a-
next to Scott
Nobody
Young.
would have bought a Dave Tippett jersey. Come on.
Dave Tippett was he was good in the Whalers. So was Scott.
He wasn't great. He was good.
The whole team wasn't great.
He was in a long line of Hartford Whaler good defensive forwards. You
Yes.
know, Dean Evison.
Yeah,
and-
Dean Evanson. Yeah, Scott Young had his moments.
Oh yeah. No, this thing just keeps giving. All right, I'll do one more here. Yeah, these are so good.
Not gonna say it.
All right, here is a wow. All right, this guy played for the Flyers. He was a defenseman. His son plays now in the NHL, I believe.
He's a defense.
Nope, he's a defenseman. He
Terry Karkner, since we can see the name.
yeah,
That was a great
that
clue.
was terrible.
Thanks for that clue.
That was horrible. All right, I owe you one more then. Let's do one more.
I'll give you 2 clues. I'll give you 2 clues. His first name is.
That was like being on Let's Make a Deal. They'll be like, well, behind door number 1 is a car, and behind door number 2, you know,
Yeah.
come on.
It's the slow reveal.
Oh man, I know.
I wouldn't have got that.
No, that's really not.
If you would have said cheap shard artist, I might have gotten it.
Wow, some of these are just. Oh man, here's a guy. This guy was traded.
Okay.
Eric Lindros trade with the Quebec Nordiques.
Harry
Duchesne.
Huffman.
Yeah, that's Steve Duchesne.
Steve Duchesne.
Nope.
Mike Ricci.
Nope.
Ron Hextall.
He ended his career as an Ottawa Senator.
Steve Duchesne.
Steve
Nope.
Duchesne.
Nope.
Come on.
It's not.
You're lying.
He played in the Flyers for a couple years.
Wasn't Kerry Huffman part of the deal?
Yeah. Now this guy came to Philadelphia in that trade,
Oh.
along with Eric Lindros. People don't remember this part of it.
Oh, we're thinking the wrong way. Oh,
Yeah, we're thinking the wrong way.
Okay. I didn't realize there was another player that the Flyers.
Claude Boivin.
Oh wow! I would have. There's no in no world. Yeah, in no world would I have gotten that.
Am I wrong about that? Him coming with Lindros in that trade?
I think so.
I think you're right.
I'll double check.
Check for me, would you? I think Claude Boivin came in the Lindros trade. I believe.
He's like the Joe Zanussi of the Espo deal.
When he was traded,
Scott Parker.
he may have been drafted.
Parker.
Scott Parker was the add-on in the Ron Francis deal. He played like one game with Hartford, got his face destroyed on a stanchion, and he never saw him again.
I'm pretty sure.
Where is Scott Parker? Let me see where he is today.
What was Lindros' first year in Philly?
92, 93?
Yeah.
All right, so maybe I'm wrong.
There's a good chance you're wrong, but we don't.
Probably.
I appreciate it.
Probably.
We don't want to sound negative.
Here is the official Lindros trade from our friends at HockeyDB. Chris Simon, Mike Ricci, Kerry Huffman, Ron Hextall, Peter Forsberg, Steve Duchesne, future considerations, a first-round pick in 93 and 94, and cash for Eric Lindros, period. Nothing.
That's it. Wow. That is a hell of a big trade.
Yeah.
Thank you, Russ Farwell.
Are we going to see a trade?
Scott Parker is on Twitter, just so you know.
Awesome.
All right, guys, that's about it. Remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We'll be back tomorrow. See you then. Enjoy the games tonight.